Let me be clear right from the start. Your success is your loudest message. You don't need to shout it from the rooftops. You don't need to make noise for others to hear you. Your work, your results, and your commitment will speak volumes louder than any words ever could. Success is not born from the noise we make. It is born from the actions we take when no one is watching. In a world filled with distractions, opinions, and constant chatter, it's easy to fall into the trap of thinking you need to talk about your ambitions, your plans, and your goals. The truth, however, is that true success requires a different approach. Work in silence. The greatest accomplishments often come from those who toil away without the need for applause or validation. It's the ones who stay focused, who are not concerned with how much attention they're getting along the way, that create legacies worth remembering. In the early stages of any endeavor, the desire for recognition can be overwhelming. We want others to notice our efforts, to see how hard we are working, and to affirm our potential. But here's a harsh truth. Your success does not need an audience. Your journey is yours alone. And the more you focus on the noise, the more distracted you become from the real work that needs to be done. Instead of looking for validation, dedicate your energy to mastering your craft, honing your skills, and making progress. The results will speak for themselves when the time is right. It's easy to compare ourselves to others. We live in an era of social media where everyone's successes seem to be broadcasted to the world. It feels like everyone else is ahead, everyone else is being noticed, while you are quietly working behind the scenes. But remember this, those moments that look effortless to others are the culmination of countless hours of unseen effort, sacrifice, and focus. The noise you hear is often just a distraction. The real work is done when no one is around to witness it, when it's just you and your vision relentlessly pushing forward. When you're working in silence, you're building something that has staying power. The world may not notice your steps at first, but over time, the foundation you're laying becomes unshakable. Success doesn't happen overnight. And the ones who experience long-term fulfillment are the ones who have the patience and determination to keep going when things aren't visible to the public eye. They understand that success doesn't rely on immediate recognition, but on a consistent commitment to growth. Think about those who have achieved monumental success, the names we admire, the companies that are now household names, the people who have made lasting impacts. They all have one thing in common. They worked in silence. They didn't spend their time telling people what they were going to do. They simply did it. Their results were their story. Every day they showed up, not because they expected praise, but because they were driven by something bigger than temporary attention. They worked because they had a vision and a mission that was worth the silent effort. The true test of your character comes when you're doing the work that no one sees. It's easy to stay motivated when others are watching, when there's external pressure, or when you're receiving feedback, but real growth comes when there's no external validation, when it's just you and your goals, and you have to rely on your inner drive to keep moving forward, even when the road is long and uncertain. In those quiet moments, you build resilience. You discover what you're truly capable of. Those who thrive in silence understand that success is a byproduct of consistent, focused effort. They know that the real breakthroughs come when you've put in the work day after day, hour after hour, without needing to announce every small victory along the way. The small wins, the setbacks, the challenges, they're all part of the process. It's in those moments that your true character is developed. And when the results come, when the success is finally visible, it isn't just the outcome that speaks, but the strength and discipline behind it. When you let your success speak for itself, it becomes undeniable. It becomes evident in the quality of your work, in the value you create, and in the impact you make. You don't need to force people to see you. Your actions will naturally draw attention. Those who are paying attention will see your growth, your resilience, and your results. And those who weren't paying attention will soon realize they've missed something extraordinary. Your success will demand respect, and it will inspire others to follow in your footsteps. Every person who has reached a significant level of achievement has done so because they knew how to block out the distractions and focus on the grind. They weren't waiting for approval. They didn't need to explain themselves or justify their actions. They just kept moving forward. The focus was always on the work, never on the validation. In silence, they perfected their craft, refined their process, and pushed themselves beyond limits that others couldn't see or understand. It's time for you to stop seeking permission. Stop waiting for the world to give you approval. The only approval you need is your own. You don't need to announce your intentions to the world. Instead, get to work, set your goals, break them down into actionable steps, and execute them with relentless consistency. Let the work speak for itself. Let the results show the world what you're capable of. When the time is right, you'll no longer have to explain your success. It will be clear to everyone around you. Until then, let your silence be your strength. And there is a fundamental truth that separates those who merely talk about success from those who achieve it. Actions speak louder than words. We all have dreams, ideas, and aspirations, but it's easy to get caught up in the excitement of sharing those ideas with the world. We tell people about what we're going to do, the goals we've set, and the future we envision, but the reality is that these words, while important in expressing intent, mean very little unless they are followed by consistent, deliberate action. Without action, words remain just that: empty promises, fleeting thoughts, and unfulfilled potential. Words are easy. Talking about your goals, explaining your plans, and dreaming about what you could accomplish takes no real effort. But action is where the work lies. It's the hours spent working toward your goal, even when it seems difficult or the results aren't immediate. It's the tough decisions you make when no one is looking, the sacrifices you make to stay focused on your vision, and the persistence to keep moving forward despite challenges. This is where growth happens. This is where transformation begins. Think about the most successful people you know or admire. Are they the ones constantly talking about their ambitions, or are they the ones quietly working day in and day out to bring their vision to life? Success is built through action, and it's rarely about the noise we make along the way. You don't need to announce your progress at every step or seek constant validation for your efforts. The real measure of your success will always be found in what you accomplish, not in what you say. It's easy to look at someone else's success and think they have it easy or that their achievements came without effort, but what you don't see is the work behind the scenes. The sleepless nights, the tough decisions, the countless failures and lessons learned along the way. Words can never truly capture the depth of the struggle that accompanies real success. The ones who make it are those who keep pushing, even when things aren't going as planned, and even when it seems like no one is paying attention. When you focus on action rather than words, you're giving yourself the freedom to fail, learn, and grow without the pressure of needing approval or recognition. The fear of failure often paralyzes us into overthinking and overexplaining. But when you choose to act and let the results speak for themselves, you take control of your narrative. You no longer need to justify your efforts or explain every decision you make. Instead, you can simply show the world what you've accomplished through your actions. Every time you take meaningful action, you move closer to your goals. Each step forward, no matter how small, brings you that much closer to the life you envision. And while the journey may not always be smooth or easy, it's in those moments of struggle and challenge that your true strength is built. It's the actions you take when things are hard or when doubt creeps in that define who you truly are. These moments, these choices are what set you apart from those who only dream but never act. The power of action is that it doesn't require permission, approval, or external validation. You don't need to wait for the right moment or for someone to tell you that you're ready. You decide when you're ready to act. The more you act, the more confident you become in your ability to create results. It's through doing, failing, learning, and trying again that you build the muscle of resilience and the mindset of success. When you take action, you also stop wasting time on things that don't matter. Talking, planning, and overanalyzing often take more time and energy than simply doing the work. By acting, you cut through the noise and focus on what's important, moving forward. Every time you make a choice to act rather than talk, you gain momentum. That momentum will carry you through tough times and bring you closer to your ultimate goal, no matter how big or difficult it may seem. There's a saying, you are what you repeatedly do. This couldn't be truer when it comes to success. Your daily actions, the choices you make in the moments that count, are what shape the person you become. The habits you cultivate through action will eventually define your success. You can talk about who you want to be, but it's only through consistent action that you will become that person. Your future is not a product of the plans you make, but of the steps you take to execute them. The bottom line is that success comes from doing, not talking. Action is the bridge between intentions and reality. It's the force that turns dreams into results. So while it's important to have a vision, to have plans, and to dream big, those things are only powerful if they are backed up by action. Don't get caught in the trap of talking about what you're going to do. Let your actions do the talking, and your success will speak for itself. There's a unique power in working behind the scenes. It's the quiet dedication, the unseen hours, the unspoken commitment to a goal that often leads to the greatest accomplishments. While the world is preoccupied with the noise of public displays, flashy announcements, and constant validation, those who truly achieve greatness are often the ones who choose to work in silence. They understand that the most important progress is the kind that isn't immediately visible, the kind that is built slowly, methodically, and without the need for applause. When you work behind the scenes, you learn the true value of persistence. You are not distracted by the external noise or the pressure to prove yourself to others. The focus is entirely on the process. It's in the quiet moments when no one is watching that you truly test your dedication. These are the moments that separate those who are serious about their goals from those who are just looking for temporary recognition. The path to success is paved with consistent, focused effort, and that effort often takes place in private. It's not about being seen. It's about getting better, refining your craft, and moving closer to your vision. In a world where instant gratification is often the norm, working behind the scenes forces you to cultivate patience. There are no quick wins, no overnight successes. Success is the result of countless small actions taken over a long period of time. Every decision, every effort, every failure, and every lesson learned while you're not in the spotlight contributes to the bigger picture. What others might see as an overnight success is often the result of years of work that went unseen, unnoticed, and uncelebrated. Those who understand the importance of working behind the scenes are the ones who see long-term success because they know that true progress is gradual and requires unwavering dedication. The beauty of working in silence is that it frees you from the pressure to compare yourself to others. When you are focused on your own journey, refining your own craft, and moving forward without external distractions, you stop measuring your progress against someone else's timeline. There's no need to keep up with the pace of others because your success is measured by your own growth, not by the external benchmarks that society often sets. You're not worried about what others think or whether they notice your efforts. You are simply focused on doing the work, and that focus allows you to move with clarity and purpose. Behind every great achievement, there is a story that no one sees: the sleepless nights, the setbacks, the relentless commitment to improvement. All of these things take place in private. Working behind the scenes means embracing the hard, often unseen work that is necessary to build something significant. It's easy. What you don't see is the hundreds or thousands of hours spent in preparation, in learning, and in perseverance. That unseen work is the foundation upon which success is built. The work you do when no one is watching not only shapes your skill set, but it also shapes your character. It's in these behind-the-scenes moments that you build the resilience and mental toughness necessary to handle challenges when they arise. These moments teach you discipline, patience, and the ability to push through even when the end result isn't in sight. It's easy to stay motivated when everyone is cheering you on or when success is right in front of you. But true growth comes from the times when you have to keep going despite the uncertainty and the lack of external reinforcement. One of the key advantages of working behind the scenes is that it allows you to learn, grow, and adapt without the pressure of judgment. You can make mistakes, adjust your approach, and pivot without worrying about others' opinions. This freedom to fail and try again is crucial in the development of any skill. In the public eye, the fear of failure can be paralyzing, but when you're working quietly, you have the space to fail forward. You can course correct, learn from your mistakes, and refine your approach without the pressure of performing for others. This is where real growth happens, in the private moments where failure isn't something to fear, but something to learn from. When you choose to work behind the scenes, you give yourself the chance to truly master your craft. You dedicate time to perfecting your skills and knowledge without being distracted by the need to show off what you can do. Mastery requires deep focus, and deep focus requires solitude. The ability to spend hours immersed in your work, constantly improving and honing your skills, is what sets the successful apart. They don't rush through the process just to be seen. They allow themselves the space to grow at their own pace, building a solid foundation that will support their success for years to come. Another key benefit of working behind the scenes is that it allows you to create something authentic. When you aren't worried about external validation, you are free to pursue your vision in its purest form. You aren't influenced by trends or the opinions of others. Instead, you can create something that is true to who you are and what you believe in. This authenticity is what ultimately makes your work stand out. It's the uniqueness that arises when you are unapologetically yourself and focus solely on what matters most to you. When you allow yourself to work in silence, you cultivate your own voice, and that voice is what will eventually resonate with others. As you continue to work behind the scenes, the results of your efforts will eventually speak for themselves. People will begin to notice the work you've done, the expertise you've developed, and the value you've created. But by the time the world takes notice, you'll have already built something solid and enduring. The process of working in silence allows you to focus on the quality of your work rather than seeking immediate recognition. When the results finally emerge, they will be undeniable. Your actions, your efforts, and your commitment will be visible for all to see, and they will speak for themselves in a way that words never could. Working behind the scenes is a choice to prioritize long-term success over short-term gratification. It's about building something that lasts, something that is based on your own hard work and dedication. It requires patience, focus, and the ability to stay true to your vision even when the world doesn't immediately see what you're building. It's about trusting the process and knowing that all the hard work you do when no one is watching will eventually pay off. The rewards of working behind the scenes are not immediate, but when they come, they will be greater than anything you could have achieved through seeking validation or rushing to be seen. Success is not found in the applause or the recognition that comes from others. It is found in the process, the daily grind, and the commitment to progress. Too often we get caught up in seeking external validation, waiting for the moment when others will acknowledge our efforts and achievements. We focus on the applause, the recognition that comes from the world seeing what we've done. But the truth is the applause is fleeting. It's the process, the work, and the small victories along the way that will ultimately shape your success. When you focus on the process, you shift your attention from the outcome to the journey. Instead of worrying about when you'll be recognized, you begin to embrace the hard work, the learning, and the growth that happens in the day-to-day. The process is where true mastery is built. It's where skills are honed, knowledge is gained, and habits are formed. It's easy to get distracted by the end goal, but it's the moments leading up to it that really matter. The steps you take, even the small ones, are what lay the foundation for long-term success. There's a saying that success is a journey, not a destination. When you focus on the process, you embody this truth. You understand that the journey is not something to rush through, but something to embrace and fully experience. Every step is a lesson. Every challenge is an opportunity to grow. Every setback is a chance to build resilience. Focusing on the process helps you stay grounded and focused even when the results aren't immediate. It allows you to find value in the work itself, not just in the recognition that may come later. One of the most powerful aspects of focusing on the process is that it keeps you motivated when the applause is absent. There will be times in your journey when no one notices your progress, when no one is cheering you on, and when your efforts seem invisible. In these moments, the process becomes your source of motivation. You continue to push forward because you are focused on what you are building, not on when others will notice. Your belief in the process drives you to keep going, even when there's no immediate reward. This is where true grit and determination are developed. Another benefit of focusing on the process is that it frees you from the need for external validation. When you're constantly seeking applause or recognition, you put your success in the hands of others. You rely on their approval to feel good about yourself, and this creates an unstable foundation for your motivation. When you focus on the process, you are in control. You no longer need to seek validation from outside sources because your motivation comes from within. You are driven by the internal satisfaction of doing the work, improving, and getting better each day. It's easy to look at someone who has achieved great success and think that their journey was easy or that they got there quickly. What you often don't see is the relentless focus on the process that allowed them to reach that point. The people who achieve lasting success are the ones who stay committed to the work, even when the applause is distant or non-existent. They put in the hours, day after day, without expecting anything in return other than the satisfaction of knowing they are improving. They trust the process, and in doing so, they develop the skills, habits, and mindset needed to succeed over the long term. Focusing on the process also helps you build resilience. Every time you face a challenge and you stay committed to the work, you become stronger. It's the process that teaches you to persevere, even when things get tough. When you're focused on the outcome or the applause, it's easy to quit when things don't go as planned. But when you focus on the process, you understand that setbacks are simply part of the journey. They are not roadblocks, but opportunities to learn, grow, and refine your approach. Resilience is built when you keep moving forward, even when the results aren't immediate. When you focus on the process, you also allow yourself to enjoy the journey. So often, we get caught up in the idea of, when I reach this goal, then I'll be happy. Or once I get recognized, then I'll feel successful. But this mindset can lead to constant dissatisfaction because the destination always seems just out of reach. Focusing on the process allows you to find joy and fulfillment in the daily work itself. You begin to appreciate the small wins, the progress, and the lessons learned along the way. Each step becomes a victory, and each challenge becomes an opportunity to learn rather than an obstacle to overcome. When you shift your focus from the applause to the process, you also develop a sense of integrity in your work. You start to care more about the quality of your work than about how others perceive it. You take pride in doing things well, not for the recognition, but because it's the right thing to do. The process is what allows you to push through complacency and mediocrity. It's what drives you to improve every single day. You want to be the best version of yourself because you know that the work you're putting in will pay off in the end. Focusing on the process also means letting go of the need to compare yourself to others. When you're constantly looking around at what others are doing, you lose sight of your own path. Everyone's journey is different, and everyone moves at their own pace. The process is personal, and it's yours to embrace. It's not about measuring your progress against someone else's. It's about focusing on your own growth and development. When you shift your attention from the applause of others to the work that you're doing, you stop competing with others and start competing with yourself. This mindset shift helps you grow in ways that comparison never will. Focusing on the process is the only way to achieve lasting success. Success built on applause is fleeting. The cheers may fade, the recognition may disappear, but the work you put in, the skills, the lessons, the growth, that stays with you forever. When you focus on the process, you create a foundation for success that doesn't depend on the opinions of others. It's rooted in your commitment, your dedication, and your belief in the value of the work itself. This is where true success begins, in the process. Success doesn't need a microphone. In a world where everyone is eager to make their voice heard, it can be tempting to believe that success is about visibility, about speaking up, about making sure everyone knows what you're doing. We're conditioned to think that if we're not shouting about our accomplishments, if we're not announcing every step of our journey, then we're not succeeding. But the truth is, success isn't defined by how loudly you speak. It's defined by the results you create. It's about the work, the quiet persistence, and the consistent effort that leads to growth and achievement, regardless of who sees it or hears about it. Too many people fall into the trap of seeking constant validation, of needing others to recognize their achievements as they happen. The desire to be heard is powerful, and it's easy to fall into the belief that if you're not getting attention, you're not moving forward. But the reality is that true success doesn't need applause. It doesn't need recognition. Success is self-sustaining. It's driven by a quiet confidence that comes from knowing that you're on the right path, regardless of whether the world is paying attention or not. The most successful people are often those who focus on the work, not the noise around them. The greatest achievements often come from those who work in silence. Think of the many innovators, creators, and leaders who changed the world without seeking the spotlight. They didn't need microphones to prove their worth. They didn't need to constantly broadcast their progress to the world. Instead, they focused on creating value, on making an impact, on perfecting their craft. They understood that success is the byproduct of consistent, deliberate effort, and that it would speak for itself when the time was right. The loudest voices are often the ones that have the least substance, while the quiet ones, those who work relentlessly behind the scenes, are the ones who are truly changing the world. Success isn't about how many people know your name or how often your achievements are celebrated. It's about the progress you make, the impact you have, and the difference you create. It's easy to confuse attention with importance, but the two are not the same. Just because something or someone is getting a lot of attention doesn't mean they are succeeding in the ways that matter most. True success is measured by the results you achieve, not the number of people who cheer for you along the way. True success is measured by the results you achieve, not the number of people who cheer for you along the way. Those who are focused on the results don't need to constantly remind others of their journey. Their work does all the talking for them. There's power in working without the need for constant external validation. When you stop seeking approval from others, you free yourself from the constraints of comparison and judgment. You begin to realize that the real measure of success lies not in how many people see you, but in how much progress you're making toward your own goals. When you don't need a microphone to broadcast your intentions, you can stay focused on what matters most: your growth, your vision, and your ability to take consistent action toward your objectives. When success doesn't need a microphone, it allows you to build with integrity. You aren't swayed by the opinions of others, and you aren't distracted by the need to impress. Instead, you build your success on a foundation of substance. You focus on mastering your craft, on delivering quality, on adding value, and on creating something meaningful. This integrity is what separates those who are truly successful from those who only seek fame or attention. It's the quiet, unseen work that leads to the greatest accomplishments, because it is rooted in genuine passion and commitment rather than the pursuit of external recognition. Those who achieve true success understand that the journey is personal. It's not about sharing every step along the way. It's about staying true to your vision even when no one is watching. There are countless hours of hard work that go unnoticed, countless sacrifices that no one sees. Success doesn't happen because you're constantly telling the world about what you're doing. It happens because you're doing the work consistently, even when no one is cheering you on, even when no one is paying attention. The work itself becomes the reward, and the recognition that follows is simply a reflection of that effort, not the goal. Many of the most successful people in the world are introverts, or at least prefer to stay out of the public eye. They understand that success is about impact, not visibility. They know that their value doesn't come from being on stage or having their name in lights, but from the work they do and the difference they make. These individuals choose to keep their efforts focused on what's important, rather than on impressing others. They understand that success doesn't require a microphone. It requires commitment, hard work, and a relentless focus on the end goal. When you focus on success without needing a microphone, you begin to understand that the real victories aren't always the public ones. The victories are the quiet moments of growth, the private battles you win when no one is watching. They're the times when you choose to stay disciplined, to keep going when you feel like quitting, and to continue pursuing your vision even when it seems like no one is noticing. These are the moments that define true success. Success is built in these silent victories, in the internal progress that doesn't require external applause to validate it. Success without a microphone teaches you humility. It keeps you grounded, focused on what truly matters, and free from the temptation of ego. When you don't need to broadcast your success, you learn to take pride in the process, not the recognition. Humility allows you to continue working hard without getting distracted by the trappings of fame or attention. It reminds you that success is not about proving anything to anyone. It's about becoming the best version of yourself, achieving your goals, and making an impact regardless of who notices. Action is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. No matter how many plans you make, how many dreams you have, or how much you think about your goals, none of it matters unless you take action. It's easy to get caught up in the idea of success, to visualize it, to talk about it, but without action, it remains nothing more than a fantasy. Success is not a distant dream that simply falls into your lap. It is the result of consistent, deliberate action. Every step you take, no matter how small, gets you closer to the outcome you desire. The path to success is paved with actions, not intentions. The power of action lies in its ability to move you forward. When you take action, you break free from the paralysis of overthinking and self-doubt. You stop wondering what if and start seeing real progress. Action forces you to confront challenges, make decisions, and learn through experience. It's one thing to sit back and analyze situations, but it's another to step forward, take risks, and see what happens. It's in these moments of stepping into the unknown that growth happens. Every single action you take is a learning experience that propels you closer to the person you need to become in order to achieve your goals. Too many people wait for the perfect moment, the perfect conditions, or the perfect plan before they act. They think success will come when everything aligns just right. But the truth is, there will never be a perfect moment. The best time to start is now. Success isn't about waiting for everything to fall into place. It's about starting with what you have, where you are. Taking action means making the most of the present moment, even when things aren't perfect. It's about trusting that action, no matter how messy or imperfect, will lead to clarity, opportunities, and solutions. The act of doing reveals paths you couldn't have seen from the sidelines. When you take action, you build momentum. Momentum is a powerful force that pushes you to keep going even when things get tough. It's the energy that comes from doing something, anything, that gets you closer to your goal. The more action you take, the easier it becomes to take the next step. Momentum keeps you moving forward even when challenges arise. Without action, you're stuck in place in a constant state of indecision and doubt. But when you act, you start moving, and with each action, you build the energy to keep going. Success is the culmination of countless moments of action, and momentum keeps you on the path. Taking action also helps you conquer fear. Fear thrives in inaction, in hesitation, in the unknown. The longer you wait, the more your fear grows. But when you act, you diminish that fear. Each action you take, no matter how small, builds your courage and confidence. The more you step into action, the more you prove to yourself that you are capable, that you have what it takes to overcome obstacles. Action doesn't just move you toward your goals, it also shrinks the power of your fears. The process of doing something, anything, creates a sense of control and progress, making the challenges seem less intimidating. One of the greatest benefits of taking action is that it reveals the truth. When you stay stuck in the planning or thinking stage, you remain in the realm of possibilities, not realities. But when you take action, you see the truth of the situation. You discover what works, what doesn't, and what needs to be changed. Action forces you to confront your weaknesses, your fears, and your limitations. But it also shows you your strengths, your potential, and the opportunities that are available to you. The more you act, the more you learn about the path you're on and the better equipped you become to navigate it. Taking action also keeps you focused on what's important. It helps you to stop overthinking and start doing. Many people spend so much time thinking about how to succeed that they never actually do anything. They analyze, they plan, and they debate every possible outcome, but they never move forward. Action forces you to put all of those thoughts into practice. It stops the cycle of overthinking and turns ideas into real results. You can't know for sure how something will turn out until you try it. But if you never take action, you'll never have the chance to see what's possible. The more you act, the more you build confidence. Confidence is a byproduct of action. The more steps you take toward your goals, the more you prove to yourself that you are capable of achieving them. Success comes from the small wins, the incremental progress, the actions you take every day. With each action, you reinforce the belief that you are on the right path. Even when results aren't immediate, you gain confidence in the process, in your ability to learn, and in your ability to push through obstacles. Action is the key to transforming self-doubt into self-belief. Action is also a great equalizer. It doesn't matter who you are, where you come from, or what you have, it matters what you do. People who are successful don't necessarily have the best circumstances, the most resources, or the most support. What they have is the willingness to act. They take the initiative. They put in the effort day in and day out to move closer to their dreams. You don't need a perfect situation to start taking action. You don't need everything to be in your favor. All you need is the willingness to take that first step, no matter how uncertain it may seem. Action is the only thing that can turn dreams into reality. Dreams are great, but they're nothing without action. You can dream about success, talk about it, plan for it, but until you take the first step, nothing will change. It's easy to stay stuck in the dreaming phase because it feels safe, but real success begins when you step out of that comfort zone and into the unknown. It begins with a decision to act, and once you start taking action, no matter how small, you set the wheels in motion. The path to success is not paved with good intentions or big ideas. It's paved with action.